traffic management encompasses all systems that assist aircraft to depart from an aerodrome, transit airspace, and land at the destination airport with the help of air traffic control and navigation systems, among others. The increasing emphasis of modern air traffic management is on interoperable and harmonized systems that allow an aircraft to operate with a minimum of performance change from one airspace to another. That's our interest on this edition. It's Aviation This Week on Channels Television. You're most welcome. I'm Bukola Joe Oketumbi.
The airspace is the portion of the atmosphere controlled by a country above its territory, including its territorial waters and any specific three-dimensional portion of the atmosphere. Most countries have two types of airspace. A controlled airspace exists where it is deemed necessary that air traffic control has some form of positive executive control over aircraft flying in that airspace. However, air traffic control does not necessarily control traffic operating under visual flight rules within this airspace. An uncontrolled airspace is one in which air traffic control does not have authority, although it may act in an advisory manner. Airspace may also be subdivided into a variety of areas and zones, including those where there are either restrictions on flying activities or complete prohibition of flying activities. Here in Nigeria, air traffic management rests on the shoulders of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency. The current air traffic control system relies heavily on voice communications between air traffic controllers and pilots. Voice communications are used to relay instructions and other information essential to safe and expeditious flight, for coordination of aircraft movement, protection of aircraft separation, advisories, clearances, and weather services. In modern air traffic management, the term communication, navigation, and surveillance is key. So, what exactly is communication and navigation?
This VUR is very high omnidirectional radio range, which aircraft picks to find its direction. It radiates 360 degrees, which aircraft picks to find its bearing to wherever the aircraft is going. It is very, very important because it shows you the bearing to and fro. When aircraft picks it, you turn to the VUR of any station you are going to. It shows going and then coming. You know exactly where you are going and where you are coming from. The pilot calls them and tells them where they are coming from. That is shown on the scope.
The most critical technology elements of the new environment are satellite-based navigation, increased use of data links rather than voice for pilot-controller communication, and improved surveillance.
Radar will scan the airspace, the entire airspace of Nigeria, and display it for us on the scope so that you can actually see the position of each of the aircraft flying. And with that, you ensure that the two of them doesn't get too close to each other.
In addition to modern methods, navigational aids still remain a critical part of air traffic management, both in the air and on ground. Navigational aid is the window through which pilots navigate a route and shoot approaches to the desired destination in day-to-day blind flying operations. In simple words, it's defined as any sort of marker which aids the traveler in navigation. Common types of such aids include instrument landing systems and beacons.
Then this equipment has a function that has to do with DME. There's an equipment inside the shelter called DME, distant measuring equipment. The glass globe is located with this equipment. The function of that DME is to give the slant distance. Slant distance, what I mean by distance measuring equipment, distant from where you can get the aircraft can tune with the gyroscope and know its position, probably to the airport.
Away from these, civil navigation requirements continue to evolve, as most recently evidenced as performance-based navigation is now the new order.
Managing air traffic is dynamic, and air navigation systems are key to the operations of aircraft. The instrument landing system defines the category of an airport. That's coming from the General Manager, Safety Management Systems of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, Matthew Pwajok. He starts by giving us an account of air safety in 2016.
So yes, in 2016, the safety record was great. The number of air safety reports were minimal compared to last year. The number of air proximity reports were also relatively very low compared to last year. And so we, looking at that, say yes, this year was far much better than the previous year. I think basically when they are talking about category 1, 2, or 3, it is with respect to the instrument landing system, the ILS. That is the facility that guides aircraft laterally and vertically towards making an approach, locating the center of the runway, and also having vertical guidance to be able to make a safe landing on the runway at an airport. And that is categorized as either Category 1 ILS system, Category 2 ILS system, or Category 3 ILS system. The Category 1 ILS system basically operates with what we call a decision altitude. That is the altitude at which, if a pilot is unable to see